Have you ever found yourself stuck in a problem, feeling like no matter what you do, there's no way forward? What if I told you that the problem isn't actually the problem? It's the way you're looking at it. Welcome to The Empowered. I'm your host, Alkistis, the founder of Alchemia Self-Care Rituals, a brand rooted in healing, self-discovery, and connecting deeply with ourselves. This podcast is an extension of my journey, a space where we explore growth, healing, and the transformative power of shifting our mindsets. I would love to hear from you though. Where are you tuning in from? Drop a comment below and let's connect. So now before we dive in, I want to ask you a simple question inspired by Devin Bandison teachings. Who do you need to be to become your best self? Take a moment to declare this to yourself. Maybe it's just one word, maybe it's just a phrase, and type it down below. Finally, if you're enjoying the space, please subscribe. It truly helps me grow this community more than you'll ever know. So with no further ado, let's dive in. Lately, I've been stepping back from the busyness of life, day-to-day errands, work, and the hustle, and instead focusing on what I truly want and where I want to go. This deeper introspection, combined with practices like meditation, journaling, and studying neuroplasticity, has completely reframed how I look at problems. Life often feels like we're walking step by step, unsure whether we're climbing upward or downward. It's not until we reach a certain point, perhaps a moment of pause, reflection, or even exhaustion, that we can look back and see the direction we've been heading. This ties directly into the idea that the dream is the process. As Devin Bandison says, it's not about making a giant leap. It's about moving forward 1% each day. Each small step compounds over time, creating momentum that eventually carries us to clarity. Personally, I found that this process mirrors my own journey. When I became a mother, it was like stepping into a world of unknowns. Every day felt like a new challenge, and there were moments when I questioned whether I was moving forward at all. But motherhood taught me that the steps matter more than the destination. It's the small, consistent actions that build a foundation for growth, whether that's in parenting, healing, or pursuing your dreams. If you're feeling stuck, I encourage you to focus on not the end goal, but on the next step in front of you. Ask yourself, what's one small action I can take today that moves me closer to where I want to be? As I continued on this journey, I started to see a powerful connection between spirituality and science. At first, I struggled to trust words or ideas alone. I needed evidence, something concrete. That's when I discovered the concept of neuroplasticity, which showed me how our brains can rewire themselves, and epigenetics, which revealed how our environment and beliefs influence our biology. It was through practices like meditation and the teaching of Robin Sharma, his book, The 5 a.m. Club, that I created space to explore these concepts. By waking up early and dedicating time to myself, I found a balance between the spiritual and the scientific. Here's where the magic happens when you combine the spiritual practice of visualization with the scientific foundation of how the brain works. You create a bridge. That bridge allows you to cross over from limiting beliefs to limitless potential. This is where Devin Bandison teachings resonated with me. He asks a powerful question. Who do you need to be? This isn't about what you need to do. It's about embodying the qualities of the person who already has what you desire. For me, I needed to be someone who trusted herself, who believed in abundance, and who saw problems as stepping stones, not roadblocks. That simple shift was the key to unlocking everything else. Clarity doesn't come from wanting, it comes from doing. This is something I've learned the hard way. For years, I thought I needed all the answers before I could take action. But what I've discovered is that clarity is the result of taking small, consistent steps forward. Think about climbing a staircase. You can take one step, then another, not knowing if you're going down or up until you reach the top. But that's what life is like. The key is to keep moving, even when you're unsure of the outcome. This idea is beautifully captured by Devin Bandison, a coach, speaker, and an author known for his work on leadership and personal development, especially in MBA athletes. Devin teaches that our lives are shaped by the actions we take every day and the thoughts that drive those actions. He frames this concept through a powerful model. Thoughts create emotions, emotions create actions, and actions create results. What I love about Devin's approach is its simplicity, and it emphasizes on personal responsibility. Instead of waiting for the perfect conditions or the right moment, he encourages us to focus who we need to become to reach our goals. His work has been a profound reminder that clarity isn't about knowing the entire staircase. It's about trusting just the next step. I've experienced this firsthand. When I started to shift my thoughts around money and abundance, it wasn't an instant transformation. But each small step, whether it was investing in real estate, adopting a gratitude journal, or simply saying no to things that didn't align with my values, began to build momentum. At the time, it felt like I was just walking in the dark, one step at a time. I didn't know if I was moving forward, downward, or sideways. But as Devin says, clarity comes from the process. You don't know where you're headed until you look back and you see how far you've come. This step-by-step approach has been so liberating for me because it takes the pressure off. Instead of trying to figure everything out all at once, I've learned to focus on progress over perfection. And every small win, no matter how insignificant it seems, brings you closer to the life you're meant to live. Devin also emphasizes the importance of declarations, claiming who you want to be and acting as if you're already that person. So let's pause for a moment and think, who do you need to be today? This isn't about doing more. It's about being more aligned, intentional, and clear of your purpose. Inner work is like peeling back the layers of an onion. It's uncomfortable, messy, and sometimes it stings. But it's also the only way to get to the core of who we truly are. When we do this deep work, it often feels like we're going inward, sinking deeper into the uncomfortable parts of ourselves. Devin Bandison describes this as reaching the bottom, where we've confronted with our old patterns, hardwired beliefs, and the stories that no longer serve us. But here's the beauty of it. The bottom is not the end, it's the foundation. When we hit this place of raw honesty with ourselves, we're not stuck, we're grounding. And from that grounded place, we can begin to expand, to grow upward in a direction that feels authentic and aligned with who we truly want to be. We can expand in every direction we want. I've had moments in my own journey where I felt like I was spiraling inwards, revisiting the same fears and limiting beliefs over and over and over again. For me, one of the most challenging patterns was my fear of validation and my fear around money. I grew up in this deeply integrated narrative that money was hard to come by and I wasn't worthy of it, and it required constant struggle and a sense of not being present here and now. Even when I was building Alchemia and I started to have the first points of success, that old story would creep in, whispering that it could all fall apart any moment. I had to sit with that fear, examine where it came from, and decide whether it was a belief I wanted to keep. One practice that helped me was, who do I need to be to create the life that I want? I realized I needed to be someone who trusted in abundance, someone who believed in their ability to create and regenerate wealth in ways that felt aligned and meaningful. Ways that didn't mean that I would have to neglect my family, friends, and surroundings. That shift didn't happen overnight. But it started with acknowledging the patterns and choosing to release them. Breaking old pattern requires both reflection and action. But here are a few tools that have been transformative for me personally. The screen method, inspired by Jose Silva. Imagine your old pattern or belief playing out on a movie screen in front of you. Watch it as an observer without judgment. Then visualize yourself stepping into the scene and rewriting the script. How does the new story feel? This technique helps detach from emotion of the belief and empowers you to create a new narrative. You've heard me say before about journaling that has been a very strong part of my healing journey, and it has helped me break these patterns. I want you to think about, what is one belief I've been carrying that no longer serves me? Where did this belief come from? And who do I need to be to let go of this belief and step into my higher self? Thank your old patterns for the role they've played in your life. Even limiting beliefs often serve the purpose at some point, whether it was protecting you or helping you navigate a challenging situation. Gratitude allows you to release them with compassion, not resentment. Once you've identified the patterns you want to release, the next step is expansion. This isn't about rushing forward. It's about growing from a grounded place. Think of it like planting a seed. You have to nurture it, water it, and give it time to grow. So ask yourself, What new beliefs do I want to cultivate? What actions can I take today, no matter how small, that align with these beliefs? Remember, growth is in the process and every small step counts. One of the most profound lessons I've learned is that you can't pour from a glass full of holes. So often we try to give, solve, and move forward without addressing the inner work that needs to happen. Imagine trying to fill a glass that leaks. It doesn't matter how much you pour in, it won't stay full. In the busyness of life, it's easy to lose touch with ourselves. We give so much to our responsibilities, our loved ones, and the noise of the outside world that we forget to tune in the quiet voice within. But I've learned that carving out even a small moment each day to connect with ourselves can be one of the most grounding and transformative practices we can embrace. For me, the shift began with the 5 a.m. Club by Robin Sharma. Almost 4 years ago, I decided to try waking up at 5 a.m. to create a space just for myself. A time where I could think, reflect, and set the tone for my day before the world came knocking. Let me tell you, it has been life-changing. This isn't about becoming a morning person or following a rigid routine. It's about intentionally creating a space where you can have meaningful conversations with yourself, where you can ask yourself, what do you need? Where are you going? And who do you want next to you in this journey? Robin Sharma's technique is built on what he calls 20-20-20. 20 minutes movement, 20 minutes reflection, and 20 minutes growth. When I started implementing this practice, I wasn't perfect. There were days when I wanted to sleep in or skip the reflection part. But as I stayed consistent, I began to notice profound shifts. My mornings became a sacred space for clarity, for asking myself, who do I truly want to be today? How do I want to feel? Who do I need to be? This time wasn't about just planning my day. It was about cultivating a deeper connection with myself. And that connection became the foundation for everything else in my life. I'll share a moment from my own life. As a creative person, I've always been an endless stream of ideas. For years, I felt like I had to dive into everything that came to mind, fearing that if I didn't act immediately, the opportunity might slip away. But over time, I realized that this impulsive approach wasn't sustainable. It was draining. A turning point for me was when I started saying no, not just to others, but to myself. I learned to sit with my ideas before acting on them, to give myself the space to ask, is this worth my energy? Does it align with where I want to go? It wasn't easy at first. Creativity feels like an unstoppable force, and it's tempting to chase every spark of inspiration. But by practicing mindfulness and pausing before diving in, I discovered that I could channel my energy more purposely. The same applies to people who procrastinate. Procrastination often comes from overwhelm, a feeling that we have to do something simply for the sake of doing it. But impulsive action isn't the solution. The key is to pause, reflect, and act with intention rather than reacting out of habit or fear. This shift in my mindset, supported by the 5 a.m. club, waking up early, and dedicating time to myself, gave me the clarity and calm I needed to approach my day with purpose. By starting the day with stillness and intention, I created a buffer between myself and the outside world. It was during these quiet moments that I could reflect on my ideas, think what truly mattered, and prioritize my energy. This practice taught me that the first step to meaningful action is meaningful reflection. If the problem isn't the problem, but the way we look at it, the question becomes, how do we change the way we look at things? The answer lies in neuroplasticity, our brain's ability to form new neural pathways. By intentionally adopting new perspectives and thought patterns, we can transform the way we approach challenges, creating a mindset that fosters growth, creativity, and resilience. This ability to form new neural pathways means that how we think, feel, and act isn't fixed. We can literally rewire our brains to respond to challenges and opportunities in healthier, more constructive ways. What's even more fascinating is that children's brains are in the theta frequency until they're 7 years old, meaning that they are so adaptable to whatever is fed into their brains. During early development, a child's brain creates and strengthens neural pathways at an astonishing rate, particularly in response to the environment, interaction, and experiences they encounter. As parents, understanding neuroplasticity gives us an incredible opportunity and responsibility. Children are like sponges, absorbing the emotions, behaviors, and problem-solving approaches they witness. When we model resilience, positive reframing, and constructive handling of challenges, we're not just teaching them skills, we're shaping their brain's foundation for how they'll respond to the world. When children experience stress or frustration, their prefrontal cortex, the area responsible for reasoning and decision-making, isn't fully developed yet. Instead, they rely heavily on their amygdala, the part of the brain responsible for fight and flight response or freeze responses. This is why children might throw tantrums or struggle to regulate their emotions. They're still building their neural pathways necessary for emotional regulation and problem solving. As a mom, I've had to remind myself so many times that when my kids are overwhelmed or upset or throwing a tantrum, it's not because they're being difficult. It's because their brains are still learning how to process those big emotions. I've noticed that when I model calmness and problem solving, even during tough moments, it helps them develop those same skills over time. It's not always easy. I've even had to go to a parent school just for that, especially when I'm feeling frustrated at myself. But I remind myself that the way I handle these moments is creating a blueprint for their emotional growth. So let's go back to adult brains. So we too can create new patterns by practicing mindful habits, reframing problems, and adopting growth-oriented perspectives. Whether it's showing patience with our children or reshaping our own beliefs about challenge, understanding neuroplasticity helps us see that change is possible for them and both for us. It starts with awareness, grows with intentionally, and becomes stronger through consistent practice. When we model behaviors rooted in calm, clarity, and problem solving, we not only rewire our own mental patterns, but we also help our children develop a brain wired for resilience, creativity, and emotional regulation. This shared journey of growth and learning is one of the most profound gifts we can give them and ourselves. So, how do our brains work? Our brains are incredibly adaptable. Every time we repeat a thought, behavior, or reaction, we strengthen the neural pathways associated with it. Think of these pathways as well-trodden trails in the brain. When you constantly view problems negatively, you feel stuck in fear or frustration, those trails become deeply ingrained. But here's the good news, you're not stuck with them. Neuroplasticity allows us to create new trails, shaping the way we think, feel, and act. It's about moving away from automatic reactions towards intentional responses. As Dr. Joe Dispenza, I've had many episodes about him, a leader in neuroplasticity and meditation research, explains it like this. Neurons that fire together wire together. This means that by consistently practicing new thoughts and behaviors, you can create stronger, healthier pathways that eventually become your default model. So let's discover some steps to build new neural pathways. Identifying limiting beliefs. Start by identifying the negative patterns of limiting beliefs that keep you stuck. Write them down. For example, if you constantly think, I'm not good at solving problems, recognize this belief isn't serving you. I used to believe that being overwhelmed was just a part of my life, especially as a mother, entrepreneur, and creator. That belief kept me stuck in cycles of stress and burnout. When I began to reframe those feelings, I realized I wasn't overwhelmed. I was trying to do so much without pausing to assess what really mattered. Once you've identified limiting beliefs, reframe them into empowering ones. Instead of saying, I'll never figure this out, try, I am learning to see the challenge from new perspective. Over time, these reframes create new neural pathways in our brain. Some practical exercise is write down a problem you're facing, note your current perspective, and reframe the narrative by asking, what's an opportunity this challenge presents? For example, this problem is teaching me patience and problem-solving skills. So there exactly is that moment where you're rewiring the thought. So instead of being stuck in the negative, you create these new neural pathways, which are, in simple words, affirmations and ways of seeing the problem. You access a whole new version of you. Visualization is also a very powerful tool for rewiring your brain. By imagining yourself successfully navigating a challenge, you prime your brain to become your dream outcome. When I faced a very personal problem in my family, I visualized myself as this person who will show up and truly say what they believe and stand for my values. And in that moment, I was so scared. But over time, this practice not only calmed my anxiety, but also gave me the courage to make a choice that felt aligned with my values. Another thing that really helps create these new neural pathways of positivity and light into your life are daily gratitude practices and affirmations. So when you say positive affirmation, your brain releases something called dopamine, which enhances learning and solidifies new patterns. Rewiring your brain isn't about drastic changes. It's about small, consistent steps. Each time you choose a new perspective, you're reinforcing that new neural pathway. Devin Bandison says it best, this 1% rule. Focus on improving by just 1% each day. This could mean pausing before reacting, asking a different question about a problem, or practicing gratitude. Over time, those small changes compound into significant growth. I used to feel overwhelmed by the idea of reinventing myself or tackling a big issue. When I started focusing on just one small step, like journaling for 5 minutes or meditating for 10, I realized that transformation doesn't happen all at once. It's in the daily, consistent, deliberate actions. Rewiring your brain is like building a bridge between where you are and where you want to be. Each thought, choice, and action strengthens that bridge. It takes time and intention, but with practice, you'll find yourself standing on the other side, equipped with new perspectives and possibilities. And then one day, you'll find yourself standing on the other side, looking back with gratitude for the path you've walked, realizing the power you've had within you all along. As we close this episode, I want to leave you with this thought. Change starts with a single moment of awareness. Each time you choose to see a problem differently, you're not only shifting your mindset, but creating the foundation for a life filled with new opportunity and growth. I'd like to share one of my favorite quotes by Dr. Wayne Dyer. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. This isn't just about challenges we face. It's about the endless potential within us to rewrite our narratives and shape our futures. So as you go about your day, ask yourself, what bridge am I building today? If this episode resonated with you, I'd love to hear from you. Please take a moment to say something, introduce yourself. I really am so eager to meet you and know who you are. I'd love for you to subscribe to this podcast so we can continue in this powerful space for us to grow and learn together. And as always, I'd love to hear your reflections. What was your biggest takeaway and what bridge are you building? Thank you for being here, for being open, and for stepping into this journey with me. Until next time, remember, you have the power to create a life of meaning, one thought, one step, one choice at a time. So, till next time, take care.